Georgia Tech pulls it off, upsets Clemson. You better believe they are an ACC and college football playoff contender.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another reaction episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view post Georgia Tech getting the job done. Thoughts on the Yellowjackets, thoughts on Clemson on the show. Let's get right into it. There is no better feeling than being at home with a top 15 team who is the preseason favorite in your conference, in front of your fans, and allowing them to rush the field because you pull off the win. What a win for Georgia Tech. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't great, but I asked two major questions, one for each side going into this game, and I picked Clemson to win because they're my preseason national title pick. I'm done with Clemson. They are just such a mess, and I'm going to get to them later. But Georgia Tech deserves their flowers because Georgia Tech only ran for 142 yards in this game. Haynes King went for 103 of them. If you told me that before the game, I would have thought, boy, that means Jamal Haynes isn't getting going. That means they didn't pop a lot of, like a big explosive run with Eric Rivers on those jet sweep actions. They didn't do any of that. Boy, I don't know. That could be difficult. Wait, they got outrushed by Clemson? 174 to 142? They're going to win the game? Oh, let me go back. Let me go back to earlier this week when I talked about this game. What did I say? The big question for Georgia Tech, can you get Haynes King to consistently throw the football? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. It doesn't have to be a Mike Leach, RIP, air raid style approach. It doesn't have to have some crazy level of production in the passing game. It just has to be good enough. It just has to be good enough situationally. And Georgia Tech, 8 of 15 on third down in this game. They missed both of their fourth down attempts, but 8 of 15 on third down. And Haynes King made some big-time throws in this matchup. And Eric Rivers is a real player. They lost Eric Singleton to Auburn. Everybody thought, wow, I don't think Georgia Tech can replace that. Eric Rivers coming over from FIU, one-time walk-on over there. Yeah, dude's a stud. 3 catches for 72 yards against the Clemson secondary. And it doesn't matter how good Bryant Wesco is. It doesn't matter because Georgia Tech was a better football team. They were just the better football team. Haynes King, 19 of 27, 216 passing yards in this one. This is such a big win for Georgia Tech. And you know what? Once again, I did the same thing with this game that I should have done in the Kansas State game. I didn't actually have anything to feel good about with Kansas State through the first couple games, and I picked them to win as a road favorite anyway. I did the same thing with Clemson here, and I don't even know why. This doesn't shock me. Georgia Tech winning this game is not a complete and total shock to those of you that have been paying attention. I just thought Clemson might, find a way to win the game. It looked like they were going to, but man, the interception in the red zone from Georgia Tech, huge in the second half because Clemson was driving down. They were going to tie the game up. Suddenly they don't get any points, and then they wind up losing by 3. And can we also shout out Aiden Burr, who made 3 PATs and a 55-yard field goal to send Atlanta into a frenzy? Georgia Tech deserves this. They just do. Georgia Tech was my favorite dark horse ACC title contender coming into this year. They're now 1-0 in ACC conference play, and you should view them as an ACC threat, as a college football playoff threat. They have now won at Colorado, they smashed Gardner-Webb, and they beat number 12 Clemson. They better be ranked in the top 15 next week, or I'm going to have another fit with the AP voters and their horrific process. But here's where Georgia Tech goes after this. Are you ready? Temple, at Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, at Duke, Syracuse, at NC State, at Boston College, Pitt, and Georgia. Right now, with the way that Georgia Tech is playing, I'm wondering how they're not going to get to 10 wins. Like, serious answer. Serious question. How do they not get to 10? What happens? Some of us picked them to go 9-3 coming into this year. I feel pretty good about Georgia Tech hitting the over here. Clemson's going to hit the under. Yikes. Oh, so many thoughts on Clemson that I'll share later in the show. But Georgia Tech is just playing good ball. They're just playing good ball. Brent Key's a good coach. They've got an identity. They're good situationally in this game, going both directions. They can play defense. If they can continue just throwing the ball well enough, they're going to run it so well. I mean, Clemson's one of the better fronts in the country on paper. They didn't look like that in this game, but they certainly weren't bad. Remember, Georgia Tech went for 320 yards against Colorado. Clemson held them to 142. Jamal Haynes, 12 carries, 26 yards. This is one of the better fronts. Until Georgia, this is the best front. This is the best front seven by far that Georgia Tech is going to face. How is anyone else going to hold them consistently under 150 yards rushing? I don't know. And when Georgia Tech can run the ball as many ways as they do, I love watching their offense. It's unique, it's clever, it's creative. They rely on their quarterback run a lot. I don't think they're going to have to do that as much going forward because you have to do that sometimes when you go against a great front. And in this game, Haynes King carried the ball 25 times, threw it 27. Dude's a warrior. Dude is an absolute warrior back there. This team embodies Brent Key so incredibly well. And when you look at the rest of their schedule, man, I don't know who's slowing them down. I really don't. If Clemson can't get them, and this game, 24-21 the final, of course, Clemson could have won the game, but they weren't good enough situationally. Georgia Tech was a better team. Georgia Tech had their early lead. Clemson had to come back in this one. But when you watch the game, you realize, Clemson's good, but Georgia Tech's a better team. And the better team wound up winning on a 55-yard field goal. Pretty epic stuff. Just what a moment for Brent Key. What a moment for the Yellowjackets. Just an incredible job that he has done over the last couple of years. This has always been a really underrated program in the ACC, an underachieving program, quite frankly. Brent Key feels like he's got him there. And you know what? The passing game, I think, can still take steps forward. It always can, but it did enough. It kept Clemson on their heels enough. And if you can go toe-to-toe with that front seven, boy, Georgia better watch out because Georgia has to go to Atlanta. And as I'm recording the show, by the way, Georgia is playing optional defense with Tennessee. 21 points were scored in that game in the first 6 minutes. Remember the days where the SEC games would be 13-10? Yeah, those days look long gone at the moment. So we'll see how that game winds up working out. Kirby Smart has got some work to do, but boy, Georgia better be careful. They better be careful when they go there later in the year. That is a dangerous spot. And at the moment, Georgia Tech does not have a ranked team left on their schedule until the Bulldogs. So 10-2 feels like the minimum. That feels like the floor. And it should get Clemson, or it should get Georgia Tech into the playoffs if they get there. But man, in this moment, there could not be a better feeling. There is no better way to summarize a fan mood indicator for me as an outright win than Georgia Tech, because you have just confirmed what you thought all offseason. Hey, maybe this team could go win the ACC. They were my favorite dark horse. They're my preseason number 4 team in the ACC power rankings. They looked like it on Saturday afternoon. They really did. And I tell you what, tip of the cap to Brent Key. They beat my preseason national champion. Yeah, I'm out. I'm out on Clemson. I don't know that I'll ever pick them to win a game ever again. The Tigers have got some serious problems. And, I don't know how they're getting fixed. First, this episode brought to you by our friends over at Mazda. Mazda's moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. So, who moved the game forward? Haynes King literally moved the ball forward with over 300 yards of offense in this one. I mean, you should probably start talking about him as a potential Heisman Trophy candidate because of all the stats he's going to put up this year. He might not kill you during the air with his air yardage all the time, but guess what? He had 319 yards of total offense in this game. Georgia Tech as a team at 358. It was the Haynes King show. No one's moving you forward in this one for the Yellowjackets more than Haynes King. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. This episode also brought to you by our friends over at Wayfair. The weather's cooling down, days are getting shorter, and that has me wanting to make my home feel even cozier. And when it comes to cozifying your space this fall, Wayfair is the place to go. Wayfair has everything you need to set the mood for the season, whether it's comfy recliners, warm bedding, autumn decor, or even an espresso machine so you can make your favorite latte at home. Wayfair's got it all. I just moved to a new apartment not long ago, and I know how important it is to make that space look good and feel good so that when you come back home to it, it feels like you're coming home and you're in a comfortable spot. That is all All really important stuff. Cozyfy your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates from comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor. You'll find it all for way less at Wayfair. That's WAYFAIR.com, Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Clemson, what did you do? Rather, what did you not do? You did not live up to the hype that I and others had for you coming into the season. Apparently, anytime Joel Klatt and I agree on a team being good, that's a death sentence, because last year we picked Kansas and Utah to make the Big 12 championship game. Oops. We both like Kansas State coming into this season. Yikes. We both picked Clemson to win it all this year. Nope, that's not going to happen. My big question for Clemson coming into this game was, can they look like a cohesive offense? Can they look like a unit capable of playing together to the point where they can go win a national championship? Are they capable of doing that? The answer appears to be no, because they didn't do that against LSU at home. Now they didn't do it against Georgia Tech on the road. On paper, you played the easier of those two teams on the road, the tougher one at home. And guess what? If you're a real national title team, you don't lose both those games. You could lose one. I could forgive you for losing one of these games. Georgia Tech should have been ranked. I said all week on the show, I picked Clemson to win the game, not trying to rewrite history. Georgia Tech would have been one of my top 25 teams in college football coming into this week. But as we know, the AP voting process is a complete and utter mess. So the AP had underrated Georgia Tech. They were only a 3.5-point dog to the Tigers in this game. So it wasn't like it was a massive point spread upset necessarily, according to our friends at FanDuel. But I did not make this one of my best bets because I knew how good Georgia Tech really is. And for Clemson, they just don't look like a team that is even one of the 20 best in college football. They look so disconjointed. They can't run the ball consistently. Yeah, they went for 174 and 2 touchdowns in this one, and Adam Randall finally got going a bit. But a lot of that was 17 carries for just 62 yards for Cade Klubnik. I just don't see the offense that Garrett Riley had at TCU. When he got hired to Clemson, it was seen as, oh, this is a great hire. This is, what you got to do. This is a great move. I don't see it. I would consider making a change after this year. You're going to lose Cade Klubnik to the NFL draft. I'd consider making a change. There's way too much talent over there on that side of the ball. No, Clemson doesn't go heavy in the portal. Neither do the other great teams in college football. They use the portal more than Clemson does. But Clemson recruits at a plenty high level. It should not look this bad, this consistently over the course of several games. And it just does. They're asking Cade Klubnik to be Superman all the time. And I just don't think that that's the way that Clemson is supposed to be playing football. Georgia Tech, because of the lack of consistent weapons that have evolved so far on the outside of Eric Rivers, Isaiah Canyon had a nice day receiving. But overall, you feel like Georgia Tech kind of has to do that, and Clemson has to do that, but Clemson shouldn't have to do that. They shouldn't have to rely on Cade Klubnik all the time. And let's be honest, Cade Klubnik is just not playing good enough football. 15 of 26, 207 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Yikes, man. Yikes. That interception in the red zone, heck of a play. I mean, heck of a play by Omar Daniels, the linebacker. Came down, filled the hole, realized what was happening, jumped up into the passing lane. Cade Klubnik never saw it coming. But I mean, the fact that Clemson is not comfortable enough to just straight run the ball against Georgia Tech in that spot is concerning. That's a problem. And so I did not see the offensive line consistently getting a push. I don't see an offense that is, Tennessee just scored again. They have a 2-possession lead. Rocky Top's probably on fire right now. I do not see an offense that has any sort of cohesion, identity, fluidity, consistency. Georgia Tech isn't always explosive or great in the passing game, but I at least know what their identity is. They're going to run the football, and they're going to run the quarterback, and they're going to use the fly sweeps a whole heck of a lot more than anybody else. That's what they're built at. What is Clemson's offense built on? It just feels like they're sitting around waiting and hoping for it. I think the defense mostly for Clemson is what we kind of expected it to be. Wouldn't say it's been perfect, but it's definitely good. I mean, holding Georgia Tech under 150 rushing yards, every team that plays the Yellowjackets the rest of the year is going to strive to figure out how Clemson did that. I don't think they're going to accomplish that because they don't have guys like Peter Woods up front. But I look at what Clemson has done defensively in these two losses. Hasn't been the problem. Has not been the problem. You gave up 17 points to LSU. That should have been enough. You gave up 24 points to Georgia Tech. That's a little more than you should have, but frankly, that should be enough. If you're a real national title contender, the way I and others build you as coming into the season, you should be able to score 25 to 30 points in a big game. And they haven't done it either time. They've scored 21 and 10 in their two big games this year. It's not good. It's not good. So Dabo Swinney's got a lot of problems. This Clemson schedule is not a cakewalk. They've got Syracuse, North Carolina, Boston College. Okay. Then they play SMU, Duke, and Florida State. Remember, that Florida State team is currently ranked inside the top 10. We'll see if that holds up. Then they have to go to Louisville, who's not off to a great start this year. They still have South Carolina on the schedule. Clemson has to win out if they want to make the playoff. Or they have to do what they did last year, which is go 9-3 and then win the ACC championship game and get in at 10-3 with an automatic berth. Like that's the only way I see them getting there. Because, man, the just overall, they just look blah. Everything's just Everything's just, they're just finding a way. And there's nothing I feel like you can rely on except Cade Klubnik to Brian Wesco, which is a great combo. Wesco's really good, 7 for 124 and a touchdown in this game. But, man, they don't get off to good starts. They make too many mistakes. They don't have a consistent identity. I don't like anything about this Clemson team. I thought I would. I really thought I would. I thought they'd figured it out last year. And I thought that with Cade Klubnik coming back and all the guys they had returning, they were my pick to win it all. And, yeah, I think that pick is safely out the window at this point. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.